because Pedro's busy. He's going to be playing Guy Gardner, right? I forgot about that intro.
It's a good one.
I just saw that it was short. I was like, all right, we could do a short intro today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Next Issue podcast on a Sunday edition, which you would think, based on newspapers, would be extra long, but actually it's going to be extra short.
It's the Sunday Flyer.
That's
Sunday
right.
Flyer edition.
It's just a little insert. So we had there were some scheduling conflicts. Mainly myself to blame for not having a show yesterday. Although I guess some other people were not available, but yeah, I was at Bandai Card Fest, which is like this. It's not really a convention. It's like a big. I mean, the main thing is like a tournament for all the big tournament for all those card games that Bandai makes.
Okay.
Like One Piece, Digimon. What else? They're debuting a few things, but they have like demos and they have a little retail area. So that's what I was doing yesterday. I was not playing. I mean, I wanted to play like at the side events, but by the time it was there was a big line to sign up for all that stuff. So I just ended up hanging out.
I don't know anything about those games. Is it like Vegas? Is there like a high stakes table?
So
I mean, I guess it's not like money gambling, but like, is there like, I assume that there's like levels of players. So there's beginners that wouldn't know what to do, but then as you level up, do the leveled up people get their own little like private room?
So kind of. I mean, that you're not far off. There is Saturday there's a big competition. Saturday and today there's big competition. That those are invite only. Like you have to have earned a way to get in there through some other place. But on Friday they had I guess it was a qualifier to bring in more people to the weekend events. For a lot of the games, I only play One Piece, but I think there's more games being played this weekend. So yeah, I mean, you're not far off. It definitely is a lot of like that poker table like style where like how many, can you qualify in there? Can you stay in there? I'm not sure about the pricing. I'm sure there's so sometimes with these games what they'll do is they'll give you like exclusive stuff, right, that you can only get by winning those events, and then that can turn into monetary value because people want it. And like if I have $1,000 to spare, but I don't have the skill or the know-how on how to win those cards, then maybe I could just buy them.
Just buy the card.
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun, but it's definitely a big money pit. But either way,
I would watch the movie where like some kid that doesn't know anything about it wanders into the hall and it's just like, you mean this, mister? And he just pulls out the magic card.
Yeah.
And it's like he's the chosen one, and then the music kind of is like and then like little golden light shines on him, and he just kind of wins his way. The people are like, that's the rookie. He doesn't know much about it, but he's got the, kind of like a Happy Gilmore.
You're kind of describing the Yu-Gi-Oh anime.
Oh, okay. There you go. Maybe that's what I should watch it.
Yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters is a lot like that because you got this little kid his grandpa owns a game shop, but he's not very good at the game. He finds a mysterious puzzle from Egypt, and when he unlocks it, the soul of a pharaoh inhabits his body, and the pharaohs are really good at the game. So,
there you go.
I love Duel Monsters. I love the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, but it definitely was just like a big ploy to sell you the game.
Oh yeah.
The first season they don't really abide by the rules of the game or the actual card game, but then later on they start integrating like you have to actually, for the most part, play like you're actually playing the game. So there's no, you can't just do any crazy. I mean, they still do a lot of crazy stuff that would never plan out, but in the real game you can win in one turn with like this broken combos. So like It's not that far off. Yeah, but yeah, card games are fun. They're they're previewing a new one called Sandland, which is based on work by Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, and
Mm.
it's done. The game itself is put together by Richard Garfield, who's a big name in like he did a lot of work for Magic for a long time. He
Oh,
was
okay.
the lead person, and then he kind of branched out on his own game. So yeah, there's a lot of hype for that. We got to preview some new games and stuff like that. So like the demo. Um, it was
How many people were there at
oh,
this thing?
I mean, it was at the Dallas Convention Center, the K
Oh
Bailey
wow, okay.
building. So funny enough, like I said, I spent no money other than parking. Everything as a spectator, you get in for free. You get a little loot bag for free. And because I didn't sign up for any specific, like I didn't sign up to play any of the actual events. I
Mhm.
think those are the ones where you have to pay to
Yeah.
play. But
Well, that's cool.
um,
You just walk in. Yeah.
yeah, it was not. I mean, you have to register on the app, but it's all pretty. They do keep. There was a scavenger hunt which I completed, so I was able to get some of the stuff. I'll probably do a little blog about it. Actually, I was thinking since I'm going out to places. But to answer your question, I don't know. There was definitely. It was not like a big convention. We were all kind of held in. Have you been to the Dallas Comic Con, the
Yeah.
big one in the summer? You know the exhibitor room where they have like the celebrities and the artists
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
big. So it was like about half of that. When they closed that one, it was about half of that. Everybody was in there. So
Okay.
whatever that fits, if that gives you an idea. So
Okay. Yeah. It's still
yeah,
very sizable.
yeah, pretty much. Definitely long lines galore. So as any good convention lines, I wish they would have some kind of fast pass or something. But then I guess that's where you start spending money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what did you do with your Saturday morning off, Jeff? Anything interesting before we dive into
Uh,
any stuff?
no, I used it to catch up on. I have been. So I did sign up for what is it you guys call it? It's the comic book tracking app
Mm,
CLZ.
yeah, yeah,
For the longest time, dear viewers, as I was growing up collecting comics, I never bagged or boarded my comics. I would occasionally, like as a little kid, but then I was like, because you're a poor little kid, you're like, there's this extra cost to comic book collecting. No,
yeah.
also, like I would put them in the box, and you could get like a good 50 or 60 more comics if you left them unbagged and boarded into a box. And again, it's a money saving thing. And then a few years ago, like I was just like, I need to go back and bag and board as an adult. All these back issues that I have that are just sitting unbagged and boarded in boxes.
I
So
need
that took
to.
me
You're like, I need to correct all the errors from my childhood.
exactly. That took me a couple of years, I think, to get through, and so I finally finished it all uh, earlier this year. And then I was like, and I have had all my comics catalog just on a spreadsheet that I was keeping. And it's very cumbersome, and it's very difficult to read. Uh, so and I knew once I got everything bagged and boarded that I was going to want to try to look into some kind of actual app or something. So I've
Yeah,
now been scanning everything in the collection. So I just spent all morning just scanning books. I now have uh, scanned 1,221 comics. So
I think there's a link that you can share. So if you want us to keep track of your progress, you can share your profile.
oh really? Oh
Maybe
okay.
yeah, you can. We can offline discuss, and
Yeah,
maybe we can one day just have like a show where we talk about our collections.
our
Because
collection
I think
show.
Clay has his stuff scanned, and I'm not sure about Josh. I think Josh doesn't. He's kind of been rebuilding his collection because I think a while back he might have gotten rid of all of his, um, a lot of his
Stuff.
physical media, like down to a
Yeah.
couple boxes. I will say the app is great until you run across one of those issues that like has the barcode in the back and you already bagged and boarded it. So then you have to take it out. You know.
That's definitely one of the things I've noticed, but it does let you manually So, and because I'm doing whole collections
Whole
at a time
runs.
or whole series at a time, you can go in and just like pick and choose. You can pull up a listing of everything
Uh,
that's part of that series, and you can pick and choose and just add it
okay. I
like
like the little
that.
noise it makes when it scans the barcode. So like the little like oh, here you go. Like yeah, it's almost as if you're checking out or
hmm
the store to like
I didn't even know it made a noise until the other day. I'm still kind of playing around with the app, but I was listening to music through my phone while using the thing, and
oh
usually
yeah,
my phone's on
in
like it
silent.
keeps all the apps on silent, so I didn't even
Yeah,
know it did a thing until I did
yeah,
it that time.
nice. Well, keep us
I do
updated.
like the
Yeah,
vibrate option on the phone as well when it does scan. I like that. That's my favorite.
you should do like a little jingle or like when you scan in every 100 issues, like there's like a little
Yeah,
jackpot feature or
you
something.
did it. Yeah, a little confetti comes across.
Yeah,
I am I have found out that I'm missing comics that I did not think that I was missing.
that's crazy,
Uh,
right? And also
yeah,
that
so it's just
have you also found that you have multiple copies of a comic book?
yeah, and some of them I just pick up and I'm like, oh, I already have this one kind of thing in the early days of my like going back out and just buying random stuff before
Yeah.
the spreadsheet. Um, and then some of them, yeah, because I'm just like, oh, this is a nicer copy than the one I already have, so I'll pick up a second copy of that.
Okay.
And then sometimes I'm just like, why do I have two of these random
Yeah.
Uncanny X-Men issues that make no, whatever.
The app
So
definitely it is a paid subscription, but it definitely pays for itself within like
I
the
think so
first.
too. I made a TikTok about it, and somebody was like, "I was gonna," and somebody posted a comment that was like, "Ah," until I found out it costs money, but it's not crazy expensive if you get it like by the year. I mean, I've
Right.
definitely spent money in worse ways, I would say, so on
I
dumber stuff.
the first time I used it, I think it's like 20 something dollars or something. Maybe it's more now. I don't remember, but
I think it's like 20 something a year.
yeah, for the year, which
Yeah,
is pretty good value
yeah.
because that's if you buy 4 duplicate comics, you already like that that you don't have scanned. So yeah, it's good. It's good. So we'll follow your journey. I know you post usually when you're back and board
Yeah.
uh, on TikTok, and you've been posting about scanning them in. So I'm the one. I'm gonna get you the login, and I'm gonna let you just do a chill lo-fi stream. You just
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not even interacting. It's just like you're just there
Just pull
cataloging
them
the
out,
comics.
scan
Yeah,
them, watch them.
like it's almost gonna look like CCTV footage. It's just like from the corner from a corner in your apartment. Just
That's
like
right.
here we go. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all right. Before we dive into this stuff, we do have some sad news to report, and we were going to talk a little bit more in depth about this when we're going to do a big show. But unfortunately, this week we had a few people pass that are very much in our genre. The first one, James Earl Jones, probably most known for voicing Mufasa. I'm just kidding. And
This
Darth
is
Vader.
CNN.
Yeah, yeah.
This is CNN.
Most famously known for being the voice of CNN. But of course, he voiced Darth Vader, voiced Mufasa. He just liked to voice dads, you
Yeah,
know.
that's all.
That's
He was just
all.
a dad guy.
Dad guy. But yeah, that was very unfortunate to hear about it throughout the week. And it's been nice. Like obviously, the press will go out to celebrities that may or may not have like I saw an interview with Giancarlo Esposito. I guess he is
Mm,
now Star Wars related, but he also worked
yeah.
with James Earl Jones back in the day a lot. So like just hearing about all the people that he worked with, he was I didn't realize this, but he was a big theater actor as well,
hmm
which makes sense with a booming voice like that.
Yeah. 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 Definitely.
So yeah, yeah, sad passing.
Great in Field of Dreams.
Oh my
Love
god,
him in
yes.
Field of Dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a very interesting filmography, and then, like I said, his not movie stuff, like his other roles, even little things like cameoing on Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. Like you could tell.
I I do like that story that he had never met Carrie Fisher until they were on Big Bang Theory together.
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy because I guess it
That's
makes sense.
shocking, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously they weren't in the movie together, but you would think they would have run into each other like at a convention or
yeah,
just
some point,
somewhere
somewhere.
along the way. Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
you're saying is that all these Star Wars people don't get together once a year at Lucas Ranch to have a
No.
big Star Wars party. They
Listen,
don't.
I've
They
seen
don't.
plenty of pictures of Avengers like hanging out at
I
different
know,
various places.
and not just
But
getting
yeah,
shawarma together, just other
no,
places too.
just other places just hanging out. But we never
It
see we never see the Star Wars people.
it is wild to me that George Lucas does not throw like a Life Day party at his ranch every year.
Every
Um,
day's life day for George.
I guess so.
Uh,
I guess when you're doing what you love, every day is life.
yeah, every
Um,
day's life day.
all right, and then on the comic book side, we also heard of the passing of comic artist John Cassaday. Uh, to me, most well known for Uncanny Avengers is kind of where I started, where I first saw him. But I
Okay.
mean, he did a lot of work in Astonishing X-Men. I think the Joss Whedon years, like
Hmm.
he was the artist on that. What did
Planetary.
you know him most for?
So I came across him early on when he did a book called Desperados with
Oh
Jeff
yeah,
Marriott
all that.
for Image and Homage Studios. And then he did that, and then he did Planetary.
Okay,
Um, was it Planetary? Yeah, it was Planetary.
Planetary. Yep.
And yeah, and then the Uncanny Avengers
Yeah,
are the what is it? The X-Men? Which one? Astonishing X-Men,
Astonishing
and
X-Men.
and then
He,
Uncanny Avengers, and so on and
he
so forth.
also kind of ushered in the new era of Star Wars over at Marvel with Jason
Yeah,
Aaron.
that as well. And I did actually let me sneak out a frame here real quick. Because I did stop by Half Price Books earlier a couple of times, and I just
Hmm.
happened to pick this up right before he passed at half price, the Batman Planetary.
Oh, there's a
Um,
crossover. That's cool.
and it has this cool shot of his Batman.
Oh yeah, I saw people post that. I think Mitch Arch posted that too.
Yeah, this is amazing Batman. And I also like, just because I'm scanning my comics in and I'm on
Yeah,
X, I do have the all these astonishing X-Men,
yeah.
and I did want to show specifically a couple of pieces from here. This is issue number 4, and I did start looking over this comic, this series. You know, Whedon is a little controversial, a little problematic. So, uh, I mean, I don't want to speak too highly of the man, but they are kind of fun comics.
It is. It
Uh,
is a. It is a very like kind of seminal series for a lot of X-Men readers because at the time that's kind of like they probably jumped in at that time, right? So
well, yeah, and it was also coming off like a pretty bad run of the X-Men, so it's kind of a renewal. But this
yeah.
is where we bring Colossus back to life. And so
Okay,
uh,
I saw people post that too, but it was out of context, so I haven't read that stuff, so I don't know. That's pretty cool.
yes,
That's pretty cool.
so Colossus had passed away in the comic, and then they found out that he, in true comic book fashion, he'd been body switched. So the body that they burned was not his body, and he was taken for experimentation, brought back to life, and Kitty was the first one to find him.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it is a very good run, very very much worth reading and looking at,
I
and
hear
his
the
artwork
first
in it is
volumes are
fantastic.
definitely like very highly recommended. I don't know
Yeah,
that the whole run holds up to that scrutiny, but I've heard from people that the first 3 or 4 volumes are really good.
I read the first, which I think would be about the first 3 or 4 volumes. I like the first 24, 25 issues are really
Yeah,
good. Yeah, so that'd be about the first 3 or 4
well,
volumes.
yeah, and if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to let us know what your favorite John Cassaday um, book was, or let us know what your favorite James Earl Jones performance was. I've seen The Lion King probably about 100 times, but a lot of those were in Spanish, so he was not voicing Mufasa then. Oh, I wonder. I don't know if he's voice. I guess he wouldn't be voicing Mufasa in the new film because I think it's about a young Mufasa. Which
It's a prequel.
I kind of, yeah. Which look, I was at the theater and I saw the trailer. And I was like, oh, this is just a story about brothers. Damn, you're gonna make me watch this, aren't you? Because I'm not a fan of the live action stuff.
Do you think Darth Vader's voice must be trademarked though, right? Like his, because I would imagine that they have. I wonder how they're going to do that going forward. Because I don't think
So
he
I
does the voice for Darth
believe
Vader. He didn't do it
I
in the
believe
movie.
he did set up some stuff with like Marvel with Disney, like where he had planned in advance for them to be able to continue using his voice,
Mhm.
obviously with the benefit to like his estate or his family or whatever, even in the future. So, which I don't know that we should. I mean, I don't know how many more stories about Darth Vader we need. I think we, I think we've closed that chapter. We've explored
Yeah,
pretty much
true,
every
true.
year of his life.
I feel, but it feels like such a known voice. Like if you were even to go back, even have him dropped in as a in games and stuff like that, in like little what would essentially be cameo roles, like you would want to hear Darth Vader's voice. You wouldn't want to hear,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So, but I think they do have that. That thing pretty similar to the thing whatever Bruce Willis set up, to like for
Okay,
his likeness to kind of be used in the future. Something similar.
Die Hard
I don't know.
57.
There's a bigger discussion there about the ethics, probably about all that stuff. But this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe this little Sunday episode is not the place to explore
let's get
that.
let's get into it. Sunday Crosstalk, Crossfire, Sunday
Yeah,
edition.
meet the press. Well, I do have a good
You said
segue.
that Batman was the best superhero ever,
Yeah,
and yet
that's a pretty good meet the press. Uh, stooge, I'll call them. Um, I do have a good segue. So Mufasa in this new film is going to be voiced by Aaron Pierre, because he is, like I said, he's playing a younger Mufasa. Um, but Jason Pierre, you may know him from a few things recently. He was the character mid-size sedan in M Night Shyamalan's Old. If you've seen the film, he plays a
I've not seen
rapper
it.
whose name is Mid-size Sedan.
That's funny.
It's really good. But more recently and I didn't even put this on my list until I was looking at the stuff. He stars in the movie Rebel Ridge that just came out on Netflix.
Okay.
Originally, this role was for I think Jan Boyega was in this role, and then he left the project, and um, Aaron Pierre came in. But let me tell you, that movie's pretty good. So
Huh.
as we move on to our previously on, I'll start with that. We have a review for it on the channel. Uh, but I really enjoy that. Sometimes with these Netflix projects, I don't know like how good I watch them because I know that they're gonna do good numbers on the channel mainly, which
Mhm.
will be another one that I watched this week that's not as good as Rebel Ridge. But yeah,
What
it's
now?
a
What Rebel? I can't even say it. Rebel Ridge about?
so it's about this guy who goes to a small town to bail out his cousin. He gets stopped by the police and they take his money. So then Aaron Pierre's character is a former Marine who now is embroiled with the small town police department, whose chief is Don Johnson. Uh,
This is like Rambo, basically, kind of, sort of.
it's a little bit, yeah. Um, but it's pretty good. It's a slow burn. It's by the same director. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Green Room.
Mm,
Uh,
mm, mm, mm.
yeah, yeah. So it's like a very high tension thriller type of thing. There's a little bit less action that you might think just based on like some of the previews. But it's a pretty good movie. I went in there. The last few movies I've seen on Netflix that are like Netflix originals or whatever have not been very good. So I went in there like not expecting. I was like, all right, I'll watch it. I'll make a video, whatever. We'll move on. But I actually sincerely recommend this film.
Hmm.
Um, Now on the other
I have
side,
a very
yeah,
tenuous relationship with Netflix.
you know, the
They
thing
have to
is,
work very hard to get in my good graces, and they
the
rarely
movies
work
are
that hard.
there. That's the main thing with Netflix. The movies are there and they're new, and I don't have to leave my house to watch them.
But are they good? Like I feel like they've become such a they oh again this would be too big for a Sunday episode, but I feel like
Yeah,
are they are like the worst of content creation. Like when you get into a discussion of content creation versus
yeah,
creating art or something worthwhile, they are just a factory that churns it all out.
yeah.
So they were and they just throw money at everything. And I'm just like, you got to be a bit more. I don't know. I just wish they were a bit more curatorial about what they put out.
It it's definitely like going to like Walmart to get your groceries. Like,
Hmm.
oh, there's all this other stuff too. So like you're definitely not gonna, sometimes you probably will buy something and you're like, I didn't need this. This was not something that, as opposed to going to like a
Yeah,
nice,
yeah.
as opposed to going to like, oh, this is just a grocery store where I know that I'm gonna get my, like Central Market or something like that.
But
Uh,
yeah, and the Walmart is also good because it's like they only give it as for as many selections as you get, it all feels kind of the same sort of,
yeah,
anyway. And
yeah,
so like they might have a few nice, really nice things, but it's very few and far between. And because there's so much other stuff, you don't get to focus on the nice stuff that you want to see.
hmm,
So there are like 2 or 3 years between each season of Stranger Things because
yeah.
they can't just throw instead of throwing, you know,
All the resources at one thing.
at
Yeah,
one thing, they're throwing it at a bunch of stuff, and so it takes forever for them to turn. Once they do get a hit on their hand, it takes them a while before they realize it and pivot to throwing money. Like
yeah.
Wednesday should have you know multiple seasons. I feel like by
Hey,
now,
every once in a while, you do find that one great value product that you're like, oh shit, this is really good. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. And but like what's it? Squid Game. Squid Game. Squid
yeah,
Game ended like during the pandemic, and like
yeah.
it was, we still don't have anything.
I think a lot of that
Anyway,
too is, yeah. We can definitely have we can have a full Netflix show too. We're coming up with a lot of good shows. I hope somebody's taking notes. A lot of good show ideas on this one. On the other side of that coin, though, as you were saying, on the stuff that Netflix is kind of putting out for content because it's there and it's made. I watched the new film called The Uglies or Uglies,
hmm.
starring what's her name? King. I forget the actress name. Joey King.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But this was shot. So I found out through my research that this was shot like back in 2020, and it had just been because I look at Joey King and she's an adult and she's played a 16-year-old in this film, and I was like, "There's no way she was like, when was this made?" Because I know what Joey King looks like now. Like, then she
Yeah.
didn't look. He looked a lot younger in the film. But the premise of this, and it's based on a YA book. The premise of this is that the world's gone to shit. So like scientists put together this plan to save the world with this new resource. As part of that utopia, at the age of 16, everyone undergoes this surgery that just makes you perfect. It makes you very good looking and healthy and like feels very Running Man. Like I feel like somebody watched the Running Man and was like, "Oh, we should do this, but for kids." Um, so, but there's a few problems with the film. Obviously, that is, it's just not very good. It doesn't have a very compelling story there. I thought it was a TV show at
Mm.
first. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, "Oh, this they can probably play this out, for a long time." But everything's pretty rushed. And then the way it ends, it's like they were definitely thinking that it was gonna have a second film. So you're kind of, like if you watch the Maze Runner movies or the what was the other Defiant Deviant,
Mhm,
what,
mhm.
whatever that
Uh,
movie, what other that YA series was called. I always forget the name, but like I'm not gonna go back and read the books, so like I'll never know how this story resolves. So yeah, I'll do a full review for it on the channel later, but it's not very good. I did watch Beetlejuice 2. That was really fun. I had a good time with that. Um,
nice.
yeah. We got a
I want
full
to see
review.
that. I need to go see it.
Yeah. And then the last movie I watched this week, and there's something I had never seen. Greta Gerwig's Little Women from 2019.
Okay, yeah.
That movie's pretty.
I've seen it in 20. I saw it in 2019. I don't really.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I was laughing. I was crying. I was like, "Oh, this is everything." I understand now why she got the Barbie movie. Um, and yeah, it's great. It's got a great cast too. Emma Watson's in it. What's her name? Uh,
Yeah, it's a stacked cast too, from what I remember.
Shania Woodley, is that her name? I forget. Oh man,
Shailene
Shailene
Woodley.
Woodley. Yeah, who was in the other movie series that I was talking about too. Timothy Chalamet, one of my favorites. Um, oh no, it's
Oh,
Saoirse
that's
Ronan.
fantastic.
Never mind. It's they look very similar, unfortunately. Yeah, Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, um, Timothy Chalamet, Laura Dern's in this. There's a few more, but I don't want to. I mean, I know it's an old movie. Meryl Streep is in it, and of course, it's a remake and based on the Little Women book. But it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I had never seen it, so that was a really fun surprise.
There's a Little Women from like the 90s too with Kirsten Dunst, isn't there?
I think so. Yeah,
I want to see those two casts fight in a knife fight.
yeah. Now they're big women.
Another big women.
Another.
I'm curious about Greta Gerwig because I was like, she's directing something big next, and it's the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh yeah.
So I'm very curious about Greta Gerwig's Chronicles of Narnia.
So I'm also very interested, but it is for Netflix. So we were just talking about. I
Ah,
know, I know. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Like I said, every once in a while you get a what's it called? Um, damn, the
see,
Ryan Johnson
but
movie.
I'm also like weary of the Netflix throwing money at some directors because
Mm.
is it Scorsese that they gave all the money to, and then he came out with like sometimes they'll be like great, but then they're also really afraid, or like Zack Snyder, they're afraid to tell somebody no, and
Mm.
so then you get these. Sorry, Daniel, you get these big bloated projects
I
that
don't
are
know what you're
just
talking about.
like that are it's just too much. They need somebody to be like, look, you definitely know what you're doing. You just need to rein it in a little bit.
Or
Just
or you
because,
get 4 movies out of one.
yeah.
Hey, listen, Zack Snyder's Twilight of the Gods is coming out pretty soon too, that animated show, and I'm also very excited for it. Um, just a few more.
I'm happy that you're happy.
Thank you. That's all I asked for, really.
That's all. That's all.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I also watched since I was watching movies on Netflix. I rewatched 310 to Yuma. Still holds up. Fucking
Oh,
banger of a
great movie.
movie.
That is a great movie.
I love it. I always get it confused with what's the is it Jeff Bridges that they got a
Oh, the one that was the John Wayne remake.
yeah, yeah. He's got a
Yeah.
patch.
Old
I like
Hat.
that
I don't remember what it's called.
I like that
Old Grit.
what I'm
True Grit.
True Grit. Yeah, I get those two confused because the cast is it's a very similar kind of premise, but the
Yeah.
cast is very different. Um, although I think Christian Bale's in both of them. Maybe not. Anyways,
I don't know if he's a True Grit. I don't
310 to
know.
Yuma is a banger.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. So yeah, if you're looking for something good to watch Little Women, which it says on Hulu. I actually watched it on the FX movies app. That's going away soon, but yeah.
How many apps do you? How many movie apps are you subscribed to?
So now that I am gainfully employed again, I am back up to a few more. So I have the Disney Hulu combo. Well, the FX movie comes with the cable. That having cable really allows you to just like get into everyone's library of stuff because they give you access. Um, but yeah, okay, no, yeah, the True Grit is Jeff Bridges, Matt Damon, and Josh Brolin. So yeah, no, Christian Bale's not in it. Maybe I should rewatch that this weekend. I do like the Coen Brothers.
And it's got
Um,
what's her name? Haley. Uh,
Steinfeld.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's
Steinfeld.
the little girl, right? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And just a quick thing. Speaking of Hulu, I watch. Speaking of Hulu and Jeff Bridges, I watched the first episode of season 2 of The Old Man. Great political thriller if you like that kind of thing.
Oh, is that what it is? I saw
Yeah.
him on talk shows promoting it, and I was like, I don't even know what it is. And we're at season 2 of it.
The way I'm gonna sell
Uh,
it to you is in this season he's hanging out with John Lithgow
oh,
doing
that's
like
all I need.
old spy
Two old
stuff.
actors just doing actor things. That's all I need to
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Think of it like what if they dropped what if they had to do Born Supremacy stuff, but it was older men. So it's Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow having to do all those things. It's pretty grounded too. Like it's not. It's really. I mean, obviously, it's about a lot of
You know
conflict.
what? And that's my dream. I think I've said that on this podcast before. Is to have like a kind of toned down Expendables
Mhm.
with like the old like John Wick and
I
the
think you'll
people that
really
are like
enjoy this. Actually,
yeah,
if you like the Jack Ryan stuff, the Tom Clancy, like
yeah,
that kind of political thriller type of stuff, where there's a little bit of action, but it's mainly grounded in like it
yeah.
maybe what happened in real life. Yeah, and you can't go wrong with Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow. So a lot of fun. Um,
You cannot.
Last on my list, I finished season 1 of Kite Man. Hell yeah, it's great. If you like Harley, you'll enjoy this. They go all
Nice.
over the place with this series. And I actually am very excited for them to keep making more of this if they choose to do so. Because
I
I
hope they
never,
do. I don't like I don't I'm not super into the Harley stuff. I like the episodes that I watch. I just for whatever reason I've just never been able to get it finished and caught
yeah,
up or whatever. But I
it's a
like that
lot.
it's out there and that it's a little bit different and that it's got
Yeah,
its fans. And it's just got its own little corner that it's just quietly chugging along, you know?
that's right. That's right. So, all right, that's all I watched. Jeff, let's go over to you, and then we'll talk about comics. I know you don't have a lot of actual watch, so you can just go straight into comics after you're done with your movies and TV.
Sure. Well, I will say I forgot to add this to the list while you were talking. I did remember. I also watched well this week I watched The Three Musketeers, the old Disney movie that was with Chris O'Donnell and
Oh,
Charlie Sheen and that one,
I
not the super old one, but the one that's from like the 90s or whatever.
I like. I think I like. There's multiple Three Musketeers that I like. One of them focuses more on D'Artagnan, I think, but the Chris O'Donnell one, Charlie Sheen one, still also pretty good. The one I'm
It
thinking of, oh, I'm thinking of the Man on the Iron Mask, which is also Three Musketeers like story.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That movie is real. It's I wouldn't call it a good movie, but I would call it entertaining. It's very, very entertaining. It does feel very dated for the time that it was created in, but it did make me nostalgic for movies like that are just kind of these simple, um, they're action movies, but they're not over the top action movies. Like movies these days have all kinds. I sound so old. Uh, I feel like a lot of action movies these days are either superhero movies or science fiction, but they're very big and explosive things. There's not a lot of explosions in what
Yeah,
is that 17th century France or whatever whatever it is. Um,
there are more explosions than you would think, though, for a Three Musketeers movie. Sometimes, like in some of those.
yeah, I mean they found gunpowder that they had to
Yeah,
explode on occasion in gunpowder in barrels that they had to explode. But it did make me, as I was watching it, I was like, if we were to shoot a movie like this today, who would be the wait, like would it be a Timothy Chalamet and like the guy that played Elvis?
Austin
Like would they be
Butler,
the yeah, Austin Butler and I
and
don't know,
now the
maybe
kid that's playing Johnny Storm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Joe Quinn. Like, would
Mhm,
they be the people cast in this kind of movie?
for
I kind of
sure.
wish they would make movies like this again, where like there's a villain that just because what's his name is the villain that just chews up the scenery. Cardinal Richelieu from
Is it Tim Curry?
Tim Curry. Yeah, Tim
Oh yeah.
Curry. Yeah, and he's so great in it. He has so many bad lines. Anyway, it's a fun movie to watch. It's not good, but it's a very fun movie to watch. The
Oh,
other movie I watched was Fall Guy. on Peacock.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I did not like it.
Oh man, that's a
It's
shame.
I don't. The problem I had with the movie is it did not know what it wanted to be. Is what I decided. Is that it's an action comedy movie, but it's also a rom com.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
sometimes, but because you have Ryan Gosling and Emily
Emily
Blunt
Blunt.
as
Yeah,
your two leads, like my mind reads them as like these beautiful dramatic actors a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
So like when they and then they're both very good. So there are moments in the film when they tap into their characters and their dramatic acting skills when they're
yeah,
kind of being silly, and then they kind of just for like just this wisp of a moment will be like, no, we are two actual humans that are hurt by this, relationship that kind of went
yeah,
askew. And I'm like, well, now it's too good. Like you're pushing too much in one. Like this movie's all over the map.
yeah, yeah.
Like
I agree.
you can't be The Notebook and be like a Will Ferrell comedy and be a cutesy rom com and be an action movie. Like it's trying to have all of it, and like it's too much. It's too much. It's too loud at times when it's loud. It makes no sense at all.
Did
I'm
you
like,
did
why
you
is
watch the director's cut? That's on
yeah,
Peacock.
I think
Okay.
I watched, yeah, because I watched on Peacock, so I watched whatever the long one was. I was like, why is Emily Blunt even shooting this stuff that should be shot by a second unit? Like, why is she even there if she's like the lead
Because of
director
her
on this film?
craft, she's a small indie director that doesn't do all that yet.
No, I
She's
just
great. She was playing Zack Snyder, really.
yeah, that's probably yeah. Uh, I
But
I there and it I don't hate the movie. I'm more annoyed and disappointed by the movie than I do hate the movie because I'm like, there are about if it just chose a direction, there's a good
yeah.
movie in there. And there's probably about two or three good movies in there if they just chose which direction they wanted to go in, but they didn't. So
Do you kind of want to see the movie they were shooting in the movie itself?
I kind of a little bit. I kind of wanted to see so the versions of this movie I wanted to see. There's a Will Ferrell comedy in this movie that I want to
Yeah,
see
I can
because
see that.
Hannah Waddingham or whatever, like
Oh, she's
before you
great.
figure out, yeah, before her turn, like she's just spitting fire all over the place. And again, I'm like, I don't see you in this role. Like this should be like
You can't go
uh
from
uh
shame to
shame,
this
shame, shame.
character.
To, yeah, yeah. This should be what's your name? Like an SNL somebody or something. Like
Yeah.
it feels like different. It feels like the movie is miscast. Is
Yeah.
honestly what I feel like. So
I wish we got a little bit more Stephanie Sue. She was
yeah, she was great.
she
The
was the assistant
assistant.
to uh to Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. Um I think one complaint I've seen, and I kind of agree with it, like Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, I don't know that they have a lot of chemistry with each other in the film. They're just really
I
like they're really good at what they're doing, but I don't know that they have chemistry. Whereas when I was watching scenes with Ryan Gosling and Aaron Taylor Johnson, I was like, now these two guys have a lot of chemistry. They should have been more of the film about just the weird relationship between a star and their stunt person, right?
Yeah, yeah, or yeah, like that was yeah. So there's like some great stuff in there, but
Yeah,
again, it was just like I don't know how I feel about it.
yeah,
Um, also, and just again, I don't. It's called the Fall Guy. It doesn't really have a whole like he's still a stunt man. That's probably the only thing that's kind of it's almost like Twister and Twisters. There's not a whole lot that ties the original show to this one.
hmm
It might be more realistic as to what how stuntmen actually are, but like I feel like the old Fall Guy, he was a bit more stoic. Like he didn't want to get into he didn't really need to get into the mix-ups. The mix-ups just found him, kind of, sort of.
yeah.
And he like when he shows up at the end for his little cameo, I can't remember the actor's name, but the original Fall Guy, he
Lee
plays a
Majors,
cop.
I think.
Lee Majors, yeah.
Yeah,
So Lee Majors pops up at the very end as like a character who pretends to be a cop or whatever, and the bad guys get away and they're running across, and Lee Majors is just like, "Don't worry, they'll get theirs." And the bad guy happens to run into like a prop field with full of explosions and stuff, and that's kind of how it always played out in the show where Lee Majors would just show up and be like, "Oh, that guy's about to run into a fake thing," and like, so he never really he did like a punch or something. It was just a little bit of action on his part, but it's more like he would just out clever the other guys.
It was more like a
So I
Scooby
was just like,
Doo thing.
it was like a Scooby Doo kind of thing. So I was just like, I don't know. The movie was just too much for me. I was just
Okay,
like, yeah.
fair enough. I will say I can't believe I pulled the name Lee Majors out of a show that I've never seen, and I could not
Very
remember.
impressive.
And I could not remember Florence Pugh and Saoirse Ronan, who are like people that I'm constantly watching now.
The brain is a funny
Uh,
thing.
it's a
All right,
weird
you want
one.
to get into comics now?
Let's get into comics, and then before we close out, we will do a review, an advanced review for The Moon is Following Us #1. So stay tuned for that. That'll be how we close out the show. But yeah, let's talk about comics.
We start off
Speaking
with
of Daniel Warren Johnson.
Transformers. There you go. There you go. Some
Ooh.
Daniel Warren. This is a pretty good issue. I feel bad for Optimus Prime. He's really going
Right?
through it.
He's man, oh man. I love this panel.
Yes.
So good. It's so I mean, there's a lot of good panels, but that one.
We pick up the new Avengers comic, Avengers Assemble,
I did
#1. Linnell Francis U comic. Did you read this? Have you had a chance to read this yet?
I did read it.
I like Steve Orlando as a writer. This book reminds me of a book from like the early 2000s. It feels a little just some of the writing feels a little old school, I would say.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to be like, what's the next layer of, and I get trying to use the prestige of the early 2000 comic storytelling.
Yeah.
I think also picking Sin as a villain. I've never cared about that character.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it more when it was the others, like the stuff happening at the mansion, like them kind of hanging out, or the other group that's just waiting there.
The Hawkeye, the backup team, I guess, to the group that showed up first. I think Steve Orlando is sort of like reminds me of Kelly Thompson. Like his stuff really flourishes when he's doing character work.
Yeah.
Versus like when superheroes are out in the field, like punch this guy or whatever. So and while I was reading, so I read when Steve Orlando he's been writing that Scarlet Witch, the series of Scarlet Witch books, and I read the first one, and there was a little bit of crossover between that and Kelly Thompson was writing Captain Marvel at the time, and Rainbow Rowell was writing She-Hulk at the early She-Hulk, and there was some crossover between those books. So I've always kind of liked Steve Orlando because I love those other two books, and I really enjoyed the Scarlet Witch book. So I'm like, I feel like they're all friends in my head. My head canon is that Kelly Thompson, Steve Orlando, and Rainbow Rowell are all friends, and they have like FaceTime talks with one another.
You picture them like the old school working on a bullpen all together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're like, can I use that character that you just put in your book, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so I like. So I'm gonna keep with this book for now, but because I do like I said, the stuff in the mansion where they're playing cards. That's kind of fun. And it's a weird mix of Avengers, and it sounds like it's going to be a rotating cast of characters kind of thing. So
yeah, I love the fact that it was Night Thrasher that brought the jackets.
And it's Night Thrasher that brought the jackets.
First of all,
again, jackets is like jackets is kind of a thing. I feel like again carried over from Rainbow Rowell's She-Hulk run where they had jackets made for their Punch Club. So I'm just like. It feels like they're on a hive mind over there, so I'll give it a shot.
Jackets are cool. We also see one of the Power Pack kids is in this book.
Julie Powers, Julie Powers is in it.
Lightspeed, I think, right? Something like that. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I'm gonna check out the next issue as well.
It's like Living Lightning or something. I can't remember. Living Laser, not Living Laser. That's an Iron Man villain, but he's in it. Like I never see that guy.
Yeah.
We got the second issue of the Ninja Turtles. This was a really good issue, I think.
Oh my god!
I like your cover.
I wanted that one too, but I went with this one because I knew we were both gonna get it, and I was like, "Oh, just fine." No, I didn't think that far ahead. No.
I think it's just the A cover because I just pick up whatever they put on hold.
Yeah, that was that's the Albuquerque cover. Who did the interiors?
I don't how they did not get Raphael Albuquerque to do the Raphael issue. I don't know. Maybe that was too on the nose.
Yeah, Jason Aaron's like, nah, that's Bush League comic book writing.
I do like where the series is going. I like that they start off where they're all split off. Each one's kind of focusing on where each turtle is. Uncanny X-Men #2. Love this book. This is my favorite X-Men book happening.
So I haven't read this one yet, but I did enjoy the first one a lot.
Yeah, this is just a great book. Again, more character stuff from Gail Simone. We meet some new characters.
Who's this pretty girl? Yeah, she's like 80s pretty, if that makes sense.
Oh, the girl at the beginning of the book?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get backstory on her. She's flirting with a young Charles Xavier. That's all.
Yeah. Go get
previously on X-Men stuff.
That's right.
So I guess we're gonna get a new whoever that is.
Yeah, because even at the beginning, the roster page, it's a little question mark. So
we got Fantastic Four #25. I feel like it's rare these days that we get a 25th issue of something and it's just a regular. It's not a supersized. 25th. We made it to 25. Again, this comic never fails to disappoint. Love it. Ryan North, Juan Gomez, killing it with Fantastic Four. Johnny Storm gets a girlfriend in this one.
Who that's never happened before.
Well, but this time she looks like this. Let's find her.
Oh, what does that mean?
This is her.
Oh, okay. I see you, Johnny.
Yeah. They full on. They get stuck in a kind of a parallel dimension. Let me see. They do definitely. Here's the. And it ends with her saying, "Oh, Johnny."
Oh, Johnny. Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Yeah. That's so he gets himself a little, I guess, a centipede kind of girlfriend.
Okay.
Anyway, it's just for the one issue. He gets broken up by the end of it.
Oh,
but
what a shame.
Ain't No Grave #5. This is the final issue of this series.
Finally, I can read it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a fantasy western, is what I'd call it. Definitely ends with a bang, pun intended.
This is Scotty Young book.
Scotty Young, Jorge Corona. Okay. Captain America 13. This wraps up this open door storyline that Straczynski has been telling. Captain America has been going around collecting mutants for a future mutant war. But it has none of the X-Men in it. These are all just new original characters. The X-Men have nothing to do with this comic whatsoever, which seems a little crazy to me considering they were the center of the Marvel universe. And Straczynski's like, I'm going to write a story about mutants, but have none of the X-Men in them.
Yeah.
No discernible mutants at all. Like nothing. Like they're all original characters.
Yeah.
But he wraps it
You
up.
may be the only person I know that's still reading that book.
I might be yes. It's not.
I'm sorry to Straczynski, but
yeah, I'm sorry too because I really like it, and it's not a great Captain America run. It's not bad. I don't know if it's bad. I still like it more than I liked the last run.
Okay.
Which was Jackson Lansing. Because it's different, and I'll give him that. So it's different than anything else that all the last few Captain Americas have all been conspiracy theories, global conspiracy theories. Hydra's working in the background. Like that's what you get when people take on Captain America. This is completely different. It's all mystical mutant stuff. Okay. So it's different, and I give him lots of props for that. And it's Captain America out of his element. He doesn't like dealing with magic stuff. So, but it's boring. So. Batman and Robin 13. This wraps up this storyline and wraps up this creative team on this book because they're getting ready for All Out.
Are they finally done fighting dinosaurs or whatever?
They're finally done fighting dinosaurs. It wraps up with a pretty nice, cute little button where Robin is like, "I love my dad."
Does he find a little raptor with a bat symbols kind of looking? You remember Bat Cow? How
I
it kind of
wish
had
that
a
we got a Bat Raptor out of this. That would have been
yeah,
amazing, but we don't. And then finally, Domain number 3,
domain.
which is the
Yes.
Chip Zdarsky spin-off book from Public Domain. Sort of like a Green Lantern book, but they all have to share the power. 3 people have to share the power ring, but it's not a ring; it's a bracelet.
Okay. Cool. Well,
And that's what I picked
I'm
up.
glad I like that we have enough books in common, but then we still each of us like go off in our own ways of like I'm gonna go read all this other nonsense too.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me talk about a little bit of that nonsense. Let me go over some of the books I haven't read yet. So I picked up the latest issue of Green Lantern. This is 15, an Absolute Power Time. The only problem with this is that I think I already know what happens to Hal after this because I read Absolute Power 3. So that's kind of like
Oh
the
yeah.
publication order really messes with you. Also, Vengeance of the Moon Knight, number 9. I think the series is about to wrap up because they're going to relaunch Moon Knight, but I love this run. Anything Jed McKay's doing with Moon Knight, I want to be on board for it. So
I like
highly,
that he's
highly,
had his own little corner of the Marvel universe for a while
yeah,
now too.
yeah. I mean, he's not kind of at the forefront of it for now, with the Avengers and the X-Men too. So good for him. DC versus Vampires World War V number 2.
Oh, nice.
You will never guess what happens at the end. So I'm not even gonna tease you with it, but there's some really cool stuff. I really like Oda Schmidt's art too. Like he just draws some
Otto
really cool
Schmidt's
stuff.
great. Otto Schmidt.
It's just fun story. If you want to see vampires that are superhero or that superheroes that got turned into vampires, this is the book for you. I haven't read Christopher Chaos, the latest issue, but I do love this book, and the Nick Robles covers are amazing.
Yeah.
Red Before Black number 2, the book from Boom Studios by Stephanie Phillips. Another little little thriller type of thing. This one's fun. It's kind of like it reminds me of the Old Man, just like they're not old man. I picked up this. They always get me with the gimmicks. I picked up the Nightwing Uncovered, and it's a
Oh, that's
lenticular.
awesome.
I know it's a lenticular cover. I don't know
Oh,
that
I
it's
wish I had
$10
seen that.
awesome. I don't know that it's $10 awesome, but it is pretty awesome.
I think that's $10 awesome because those
Okay,
are like
cool.
the so that's a famous photography thing that he's
Yeah,
parodying.
but it's
The Muybridge photos, I think.
okay. I'll take your word on that. Uh, but I remember, yeah, Bruno Redondo did a cover that was like this, but they weren't moving. But
That is
obviously,
amazing. Oh, I wish I had picked that up, man.
it looked pretty sweet. So, and then my favorite book of the week, it was Wolverine number 1. Oh man,
Was it good?
he's good at what he does. Uh, they brought back a character called Cyber that I've never read. It's like some whoa.
Is it the guy with the metal arms?
He's got the adamantium skin. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
This book is really good though. It's kind of Logan out on his own after all the Krakow stuff. After any big trauma in his life, he loves to go just hang out with wolves to decompress. Join a pack, just join a random pack, and but he never takes over as the alpha. He's always just one of the pack. He just wants to
Do
be
you do
included.
you think this is a better number 1 than the Hickman Wolverine? A better
The
first issue?
Hickman Wolverine. When was it?
The Savage Wolverine? What is that? The
Oh
one
yeah,
that
yeah.
Jonathan Hickman is?
Oh man, they're so different. I did like okay. I will say. I guess if I had to pick one, too, if you forced me to only keep reading one of the series, I would probably keep reading this one,
Okay.
because
Oh wow.
the way it ends. But that's only if you were to force. Like I'm gonna keep reading both in real
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah.
But if gun to my head,
I
but
would
don't do
never
that.
do that. But I
Thank
would
you,
never do that. But
thank you.
just
I did
just
find
hypothetically, if I did hold a gun to your head.
yeah, I did find this
Oh
the X-ray
gosh.
cover, the Patrick Gleason, which we saw last week, and some of the I was like, how are they gonna do this? And it looks super sick because of the foil and the X-ray. Yeah, Wolverine is
Every
good.
every week, every week when we run this podcast, I think to myself, this week when you go to the store, look for other covers, because I'm always jealous of like the foil covers and whatnot. Because I forget to look for them when I'm at the comic shop on Wednesdays, because I have a pull and they just hand me my pull and I'm like, these are my comics for the week.
You just leave after you get handed your pull?
No, I go and look, but I never. But if I have them in my hand, like the ones I have in my hand, I don't ever like. I'm not always thinking about go looking at the other covers of the ones you already have in your hand.
No,
so I just scan the walls for things that I'm missing or things that I might want to pick up or whatever. But I don't ever think to go back and look at like.
Gotcha. So at Titan, they hand me my pull because I always ask for the A cover. But then if I see a cover that I like better, I'll switch it, or I'll just get both. So I got for Wolverine, I got one at each of my shops. I got one at Sanctuary and one at the Titan. But yeah, I'm pretty lucky. Titan always gets like the weird covers and the foil covers. Yeah. Sometimes the other stores, like by the time I get there, they don't have them anymore. So
yeah,
but that's all the books I read. That's all the TV and movies we watched. And that puts us at great time because we're about an hour, so we can close out with. Unless you have anything else you want to touch on before we move on to our review.
Just one more thing is what I realized is I do not have a way to watch SmackDown anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For a quick, brief wrestling second. Now that SmackDown is no longer on Fox, it is on USA, but they don't show it on Hulu anymore. So I was like, I'll just watch it the next day on Hulu, but it is not on. They still show, I think Raw's on Hulu to the end of the year. And I think NXT is on Hulu. At least it was earlier this week. But when I went to go look for SmackDown on Saturday, it was not there. Not without a live subscription.
Have you checked on Peacock?
I've not checked on Peacock yet
because I was like, Universal.
Oh, it might be then. It might be on Peacock.
And then NXT is moving over to the CW, so you may be able to also catch those on the CW app.
Yeah,
it's a big shakeup. That sucks because SmackDown was pretty good this week.
I caught some highlights. I saw the Roman Cody stuff. But yeah, I haven't been able to catch them.
Yeah, you can definitely at least. They're pretty good about putting the recap clips on their YouTube channel, but it's definitely not the same. It's like you don't get to watch the full matches. They usually focus on the vignettes in between and stuff like that. So,
right.
To kind of keep the story going, which is a good way to follow wrestling if you only want to see the stories and then the big blowout at the pay-per-views, which those at least you can watch on Peacock.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I guess are those moving over to Netflix? All the pay-per-views too.
That's a good question. I am not sure. We'll figure it out. I guess we'll see. We'll see at the end of the.
Well, we'll all figure it out together.
That's right. All right. With all that being said, we are now moving on to here. Let me share my screen because we have a comic review. Our friends over at Image. Image. Amazing individuals working over there. They sent us a copy. Actually, they sent us a while back, but I didn't want to read it till closer to the day because then I would forget, or sometimes when we do it too early, I'll forget to rip it out and then share it again on the channel. But our comic review for this week will be "The Moon is Following Us" #1. This is a
great title.
Upcoming book. It's a great title, yeah. Upcoming book from ImageComics. Is created, written, and with some art by Daniel Warren Johnson. And then also his co-creator, Riley Rossmo, who's also doing most of the interior art. And then Mike Spicer on colors, Sean Lee on letters. There is a variant cover that Ryan Stegman did. You'll see that later on in our little video. But let me give you a quick synopsis here. Sam and Duncan Lamar love their 6-year-old daughter, Penny, more than anything in the world. But half a year ago, she was taken by the Cassaday, an evil force they barely understand. Now Sam and Duncan must fight side by side with the magical beings Penny cherished to try to get her back before she's gone forever. It is a pretty wild premise, I'll say that much. But yeah. Jeff, what did you think of The Moon is Following Us?
I really enjoyed it. I don't know if you read or if I talked about. There was a book called Cemetery Kids Don't Die. I think it was from Oni
I remember
Press.
that title, but I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly what we talked about.
So it's similar. So that book kind of reminded me of this book, and in that book, kids were playing kind of what a massive multiplayer online game,
Oh
whatever those
yeah.
are called. Um, and they would get trapped in the game, and
Hmm.
so you have to go back into the game to untrap their friends or whatever, or they get caught in the game or whatever. So this kind of feels like that, in that these you're kind of dropped in the middle of the story,
Yeah.
uh, and you kind of have to play catch up as the reader when you find out that these two parents are trying to get their daughter back. But then at the end, the twist is that it's kind of in a weird virtual reality kind of thing is happening. Uh, so they have to play between these two worlds of like the reality world, and then they have to go
Yeah.
back into the fake world to try to rescue their daughter. Very Matrixy kind of also like the Matrix.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, it was really good. Artwork is great. It's Daniel Warren Johnson, so there's a lot of feeling behind what's going on. There's
Yeah.
it's there's action, but then there's a lot of emotional tether to the reasoning for the action. So it's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I think if you're a fan of there's a term for anime called isekai, which just it's like the genre of anime that just takes you to a different fantasy world through
Mhm.
some means. This is definitely a book that you're gonna enjoy. When we got to that part of the story, I was like, oh, this is kind of like Sword Art Online. I was like, and I know Daniel Warren Johnson's a fan of manga and anime, so like I can definitely see the influence there. I think Riley Rossmo is the perfect person to do a story like this. And now that I'm thinking about it, and I don't know where, here's my iPad because I want to show some preview art, but I only have pages from the beginning, which is
Mm.
the main world. So let me pull that up, which I love. I think Riley Rossmo just works. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
and they have similar styles, but what I just started to notice, and I'm okay, yeah. So everything in this fantasy world is it's Riley Rossmo, and I had not put together because I didn't read the credits, and their art style is very similar. Anything in the real world is Daniel Warren Johnson art,
Hmm.
which I just blew my own mind that I hadn't put that together, but it makes sense. It works. Um, it's really there. You
Who's
even get
Florence Pugh?
yeah. You even get hints at it here because I think this to me feels like a Warren Johnson panel, just this little one where they're talking about
Uh-huh.
Penny. And then there's another little panel that where they're having like a memory taken
Oh
where
yeah,
they
yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah.
I think that panel is also Daniel Warren Johnson because it's in the real world. But it's got a lot of really cool, colorful characters, um, and it definitely feels like a little bit of an adventure game.
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out why the dad is so hesitant to act in this world. There's got to be a little bit more to it, maybe more consequences that we're not fully aware of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. And like I said, I big fan of both Riley and Daniel Warren Johnson. So very excited that we got to read this a little bit ahead. And then I highly, highly encourage everyone to go check it out this week.
Does
Um,
it say if it's like a 5 or 6 issue series, or does it?
I don't know. To me, this feels like it would be a perfectly good 6 issue, or knowing Daniel Warren Johnson, maybe 7 or 8, right? Because
Mhm.
his last few books have been around that length, which is, I think, really good way to get your story, like really be able to tell it all in there. So, but yeah, I love it. I love it. And of course, we get a Daniel Warren Johnson cover, a Riley Rossmo cover, and a Ryan Stegman cover, which I was not expecting, but I'm definitely going to try to track down. So, all right, Jeff. Anything else to say on the moon is following us? Number one.
No, I'm curious because I'm hoping they get to why that is the title of the book. I
Oh
mean, they
yeah,
do drop it
yeah.
inside the book as well as a line, but again, it's kind of part of the mystery
To
of
see if
this.
there's more to that. Yeah, there's more
Yeah.
to that maybe. Okay. Well, here's some covers to close out this part of the review. like I mentioned, Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rossmo, and Ryan Stegman. So
Nice.
all right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. I didn't ask for recommendations because this show kind of came together last minute. I asked the guys like anybody available, and Jeff came through. So, but do you have anything to recommend for next week, Jeff?
No. Let me look around my. I'm gonna look around my room real quick, see if I have anything. No. Live your life. Do well.
Do well. That's good. I'm gonna try to go to the movies today. I want to watch The Killer's Game, the Dave Bautista movie.
Oh yeah.
And I also want to watch Don't Speak, which is the James McAvoy movie. So we'll see where I end up. It might depend on what time the movies are playing.
That's not who's directing that?
I can't tell you off the top of my head, so I don't think it's anybody that I follow director wise.
Okay.
I just know that it's James McAvoy playing like this kind of crazy character,
crazy person.
If have you seen did you watch the John Cena film, where he makes some friends on vacation friends or something?
I'm not, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, it feels like the horror version of that.
Yeah, it does.
Where like with John Cena is more of a comedy where like he makes friends and they get through shenanigans on there when he comes to visit in real life. Well, this one feels like the horror worst version of that. So
I've seen the trailer for it, and again, horror movies to me, like I need to be able to put myself in the scenario
sure
of like the thing in order to be really terrified or to buy into it. And I just don't ever see myself meeting somebody and then like going over to like within the instant being like, oh, well, come over and stay for the weekend. I'd be like, no, we can stay phone friends, but I don't know you that well.
And it's called Speak No Evil. Don't Speak is a completely different movie. And yeah, this director, I don't think he's done anything that I've seen.
Steven Spielberg.
Other than no, it's James Watkins. He's done an episode of Black Mirror that I've probably seen because I've watched all of Black Mirror. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm also gonna go to Louisville for some card show that is at the Vista Ridge Mall.
Okay.
I don't know how big of a card show it's gonna be. I just want to check it out to see if it's worth it or not. But all right, well, we'll come back next week, hopefully with a regular show.
We might do our top list.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing some favorite. Jeff put together this really interesting comic book topic, where I won't give too much away, but we're gonna be fighting over creators and our favorite stuff. So that's always that always makes for a good time, I think. So
I say we tease it. We're going to be talking about our top numbers of top writers, top artists. Who are your favorite writers and artists?
Okay,
and
fair enough.
Yeah, so and there's so many out there, so many to choose from.
Too many.
I think that because because I said top 5, I don't know how much time we're gonna have, but when I sat down and started making the list of the 5, I'm just like, well, now I'm leaving like these next 15 people off the list who I absolutely adore. So it really is kind of a Sophie's choice for myself, and the reason I did it so because I was like, I'm curious as to what you guys are, how many we overlap, how many get left off the list.
I asked everyone to copy the template and put it on their own private document, so we don't know what's coming. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I mean, we talked about a lot of creators today, so you may hear some of those names.
Some of those names did not make my list.
Oh, interesting. Because we got a lot of really good creators on this one. I mean, come on. This is what Jeff's gonna do today. He's gonna go look for this cover at our shop.
I gotta see if I would imagine that'd be one of the first ones to sell out, but I might.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
didn't make it to the shop till Thursday to get that one, so maybe we'll see. Yeah, usually I'm lucky that I get to go Wednesday and Thursday. Usually is when I end up going to the shop. So, okay.
All right.
Well,
cool.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I think that's it. Yeah, we're done. So see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The most important thing in life will always be
Hell, Bebo.
Simon Sinner, get the fuck out.